What's up YouTube, Dave from Zephyr Games, and as promised, bringing you a full powered counter fairy deck profile. Now again, the best thing about counter fairies is they're very, very versatile. You can play them with a huge amount of back row and very little monsters and play the card of demise version so you get through to your counter traps. Now we all know counter traps can be a huge pain in the arse for any player to deal with, especially when you're sitting there with the abilities of activating your strikes, your warnings, and even more powerful counter trap cards for near enough free, especially if you have Guiding Ariadne. On top of that, counter fairies really, really work well. When you activate a counter trap, they then get a plus. So even though you've lost 1,500 life points, you've gained a draw. Or if you activate a counter trap that does a specific thing, you gain 1,000 life points back. So it's very, very nice in order to retain your resources and of course get the most out of the powerful counter traps that circle around in the game. So, this is my competitive build. It can be changed as well. This is more focused on Ties of the Brethren, but of course you can change it to be more Card of the Demise. By then doing so, you would minimise your monster count and maximise your counter trap and draw engine. So, we start off with Sacred Arch Air Knight Parshaf. Now, I really, really like this card. I rate it so highly, purely because it's the fact that when a counter trap is activated, which is what counter fairies do, it can then revive itself from the graveyard and, of course, revive special summon itself from the hand. So the best thing is you can use this as a rank 9 overlay and then still have the ability to get rid of it by detaching, which is why I play True King of All Calamities. You detach it, and then you get to bring it back. So it's very, very powerful, very, very useful. And just the consistency to float is very, very cool. Not to mention that if it attacks to Defense monster, it's then going to be doing piercing battle damage. And then when it inflicts damage to your opponent, you get to add a Parshaf card or counter trap card. So it's very, very nice. And there's a 2800 beater as well. Next up, we play triple Guiding Ariadne. This is powerful. It's searchable in the deck, which is the one thing that it missed previously. And then on top of that, being able to put this in your scale, and not only do you get to activate your discards and your cost cards for free, so your strike's no longer 1,500, and that is the best thing in the world, trust me. When you go, activate Summon Strike, and my opponent goes, cool, you're now down to X amount of life points, you go, no, you left Guardian Ariadne on the board. And you're like, happy days. The best thing as well, but it is a bit of a downside because of links, because now that our Pendulum Zones are now in the bottom left, it kind of slows down the demise engine. Not saying that you'd put 2 Guardian Ariadnes there, but if you do have 2 Guardian Ariadnes there, your opponent's got a Twin Twister, get rid of both your Guardian Ariadnes, and then he's going to give you 2 counter traps in your deck anyway. So it's like, what are you going to do? Guardian Ariadne is very, very powerful in this deck and can be a massive, massive help. Depending on which kind of build you want to go for, 9 times out of 10 you're probably better off using 1 Guardian Ariadne. Let you have 4 counter spells or traps, especially when you're playing the Sanctum of Parshaf, which probably should have been a field spell, but because it's a continuous spell, it does take up another one of your zones at the back. Next up, we got triple Power Angel Valkyria. This is the reason that we search out our Guardian Ariadne. So if you negate the activation of spell, trap card, or monster effect, you add 1 light fairy monster from your deck to your hand, and it's very, very cool. You can only use it once per turn, but it is, of course, a Ties of the Brethren target as well. And the ones that we use to negate stuff, or negate spells and traps, is we do have 2 Ultimate Providence, and then we do play 2 Divine Punishment. And when we get to the traps, I'll show you those. Next up, we played 2 Bountiful Artemis. You can play this at 3 if you want. I would probably say play it at 3 in the Card of Demise variant, because you can be very, very helpful, especially if you've got, let's say you Card of Demise, you get into a Guardian Ariadne, you play that, you've got 4 at the back, you've got a Bountiful Artemis. You literally get to go, cool, Bountiful Artemis, activate Strike for free because you've got Guardian Ariadne, draw 1 card. Activate Warning because you got it again for free, draw 1 card. So you've now plus 2 back off of your Card of Demise, and with your Sacred Arch Parshaf, even if you've drawn it off a Card of Demise, you don't mind sending it to grave because you can revive it from grave anyway. So that version can work really well. But on top of that, it is a Ties of the Brethren target as well, and can be very, very powerful. And 9 times out of 10, with your Ties of the Brethren, you can do one of 2 ways. When we get to it, I'll show you, but you do have a couple of other monsters. But if you bring out a Barrier Statue of Heavens and an Honest, you then get to bounce the Honest back to protect your statue. You've then got your Bountiful Artemis to use your counter spells, counter traps for free. Not for free, sorry, to use your counter traps and get a +1. And then if you have a counter trap that can negate a spell or trap, it means you can't be destroyed by card effects, which is very, very powerful and very, very useful. Next up, again, double Minerva. Of course, it's a Ties of the Brethren target. It gains 500 attack when you activate a card, a counter trap, and it's resolved. And then if you have Sanctuary in the Sky on the field, you get to add a counter trap as well. So very, very cool on that one. I like playing 2 Harvest Angel or Wisdom. You can drop this down to 1 if you want, but this just allows me to recycle your counter traps. So, you know, if you're activating your Solemn Warnings for free, just imagine recycling them and going, set a Solemn Warning, activate a Solemn Warning for free, and going from there. Like, I mean, come on. Next up, we play Double Honest. Now, you can drop Harvest of Angel down to 1 and then play Honest at 3. Now, the reason we play Honest at 2 is because it's searchable in the sense that, again, you can search it with your Valkyria, but of course off of Ties of Brethren as well. That's a very, very nice, powerful combo. You activate Ties of the Brethren on any one of these ones up here. Get into an Honest, get into a statue. You've locked your opponent out for special summoning. You've then got an Honest, protect it from battle. And then if you've got any of your back rows, protect it from card destruction, again, like I said before. But Honest can be a little bit too slow as well. It's entirely up to you, which is why I've got him at 1. Play the 1 Barrier Statue of the Heavens. You can play it up more if you want to, but the best kind of way that this works is only if you have enough to protect it. So being able to play it off of your Ties of the Brethren is your better option. 1 Midtail Sage of the Sky. This one lets you gain 1,000 life points when a counter trap is activated, and then if Sanctuary on the Sky is on the board, you get to pop a back row as well. 1 Layard the Liberator. So each time a counter trap is activated, immediately after it resolves, you get to add 2 of your banished fairy monsters to your hand. So that works really, really well with the Sacred Arch Parshaf, and it also works off with your Eva, but we only play the 1 Eva, so it's not as consistent. It doesn't need to be played at 2. It's more of a later game. You search it out, you regain your resources and kind of go again. We play 2 Herald of Orange Light. This is your monster effect negator. Very, very powerful and cool. And then we play the 1 Herald of Green Light. You can play it at 2 if you want. Again, can give you that little bit more protection. Playing it at 1 is because I play the 1 Eva, which can search these guys out as well. So it's very, very cool, very, very powerful, and a nice little loop and combo to play, which is why I've only got it at 2 and a 1, because it still requires a discard as well. So it's not like free, but it's still very, very powerful and useful, which is why you still need to play them. You can play Ogres and Ashes if you want, but the best thing about the Monster Effect one is it negates and destroys. Yes, you can put, like I said, Ashes in will make it more consistent. That does mean you do have to pump a bit more money into the deck. Triple the Sanctum of Parshaf. Like, this is the one that was a shame it wasn't a field spell. But this card name becomes Sanctuary in the Sky while it's on the field or in the graveyard, and fairy monsters on the field gain 300 attack and defense. Your set, spell, and trap cards cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. It should have really just been your spell and trap cards, to be fair. And then once per turn, you get to target a total of 3 fairy monsters and or counter traps with different names in your graveyard. Place them on the top of the deck in any order. So again, you get to recycle your warnings, your strikes if you want to, which again, when we'll show you what we've got, is why we only play like 2s rather than 3s in this version. Triple Ties of the Brethren. Now, yes, this can get Ash, so you do need to try and bait your opponent out beforehand, which is why you could play stuff like you could play other stuff like Upstart Goblin. You could play the Spellbook Engine if you wanted to. It's really down to you. We play 2 Pot of Desires and the 1 Pot of Duality. Now, I really don't like playing 3 Pot of Desires unless it's in like a Grand Manju deck, so I always play it at 2. The 1 Pot of Duality is just for that extra bit of draw power. Now, again, the downside is if you go into a Ties or something like that, it's a dead card, but it sets you up for the next turn. You can play Pot of Duality out for like Rigekis, more board wipes, anything like that. What this deck does need, that it doesn't really lack, because if you open up your orange light or your green light, you still have kind of hand traps, is it does lack the ability to kind of hold off if it doesn't get to go first. But being able to set enough back row, unless you're coming up against spirals and you haven't got the out to that, which you would maybe side more in to get your outs to that, it can be quite damaging. Anyway, next up we play 2 Ultimate Providence. We only play at 2 because you need your Guardian Ariadne to make full advantage or take full advantage of this. It's an incredibly powerful card. When a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated, you discard the same card and then you get to negate and destroy it. But with Guardian Ariadne, you just activate it for free. So I play at 2. Rebirth of the Parshaf. Again, we only play this at 2 because it searches you out. It lets you special summon 1 Parshaf monster from your deck or extra deck. So we've got 2 of the big beaters in the main deck, and we do play 2 of the synchros. Now, I have proxied the synchros because I don't have them myself, but that can be very, very powerful. You do have to pay 1,000 life points and discard a card. But, however, if you do have Guardian Ariadne, you're activating this for free, which again can be very, very powerful, which is why we only play at 2. We then also play 2 Divine Punishment. Again, because this relies on having the Sanctuary in the Sky, or the Sanctuary of Parshath in play. When a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated while you have Sanctuary in the sky on the field, negate the activation if you do, destroy it. Again, it's very, very powerful, which is why we have it at 2. You can play it at 3 if you wish, and I'd probably say play it at 3 more in the Card of Demise version, because then you know you've got more chance of getting to your Sanctum of Parshath. So you want to be very, very careful on the ratios, but like I said, it's whatever swing you want to go with. We then played 2 Solemn Strike and the 1 Solemn Warning. What I should mention about Divine Punishment is you've just got, like I said, it's so reliant on Sanctum in the Sanctum of Parshath, and again, that's what your opponent's going to be targeting in this variant. So you do have to be very, very cautious and careful. 2 strikes and 1 warning. Obviously, warning you can recycle around, and you can only play at 1 anyway. Strike at 2 is more than enough. You could, if you wanted to, play Scolding, but you're going to be setting a huge amount of cards, so it'd be rather redundant or just very, very not negative, just very, very slow on your part to kind of do so. You do have to hold back a lot of resources. Anyway, now onto the extra deck. We've got, obviously, the one true king of all calamities. Because we can make it with your Parshath, if you make this with your Parshath, detach Parshath during your opponent's standby phase, you shut them down for a turn. You then get, if you have the ability to bring back your Parshath, you can then do so. You've still got true king of all calamities in effect as well. And then if you do detach and use this effect again, you can bring back another Parshath, get rid of your true king of all calamity, like link it up or something, and then go into a Phantom Fortress, enter Blafnir, or of course, vice versa, go the other way around. Next up, I've got 1 Tellarknight Deltaros and 1 Evil Swarm Ouroboros. This is more when you've got the statue on board, and it can be very, very helpful to kind of deal with any problems from boards your opponent might have, or monsters. And then the Ouroboros is the other alternative after you've used like your Tides of Brethren. When you want to be more aggressive, you can go into these. Now, you don't rely on the extra deck as much. You kind of just slow your opponent out of all your back row and then start chipping away with them at your beaters, and kind of go from there. But the extra deck is there to be helpful if it's needed. Again, which is why we play Power Dynamo, Tornado Dragon, Fairy YUGIOH for that extra +1, if not +2. If you can protect it, of course. Bagusta for so slow opening hands. A number 106. If you can number 106 your opponent, plus have all your back row protecting them as well, it can be very, very powerful and useful. Castell, again, standard rank 4. Abyss Dweller, and then we go into your link monsters of 1 Decode and 1 Akessic. You can play Proxy Dragon if you want. The reason we only go with these 2 is they're probably the staple link monsters. Should you want to branch out more in your extra deck, which again, you very rarely do, you can go with that option as well. And then lastly, I'm having to use the tokens are the 2 Parshath Synchro Monster, because you can bring it out with a trap card, so you don't need to worry about your tuners as much or syncing like that, and it can be very, very helpful and very, very powerful to use and abuse in this deck. So that's it for the deck profile. Quite straightforward. It's still relatively budget, carrying on from yesterday's one. Obviously, yesterday's one was with just 3 structure decks. This one is with a little bit more influence, which is why it has an extra deck. But again, like I said, it is a bit more specific, and it comes down to personal preference. Because Counter Fairies have that variety, you can play like Counter Fairy statues and be a bit more stalling. You can play, of course, Counter Fairy Demise and we'll focus more on the back row. It's really dependent on what type of game you're facing, what type of locals you're going to, what type of event you're going to, and that will kind of dictate what you want to play and how you want to play your Counter Fairies. Anyway, right here in the bottom right hand corner is our next day. Yes, we just don't stop giving back to you guys. It's going to keep going. So this is our next giveaway. But previously you've had your Cyber Dragon, you've had an Odd Eyes deck, you've even had the chance to win a Counter Fairy or Wave of Lights deck as well, and now we're giving you the chance to win a Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight, or Dark Magician in general deck from the legendary Dragon decks. So all you have to do is very, very simple, exact same before, is check out the Gleam link below, go and follow all the steps, or as many steps as you want to. The more steps you take, the more entries into the giveaway you get. So keep doing that as much as you want. Enter whichever giveaways you want, if not all of them. And then, like I said, the giveaway ends, or the deadline to enter ends on the 27th, or get my mind right, the 27th of January, and the winners will be announced on the 28th of January. So make sure you check those out. Do not fret, do not get left out. You do not want to miss out on any of the stuff we're giving away. This is not it. This is it for the decks. But next up, we have got loads and loads of cool stuff to go. So this is only our 4th day, I believe. We still have 3 more days of giveaways to give you. And like I said, after the decks, what else can be coming? You just need to find out. Stay tuned to find out anyway. So I hope this helps. I hope it's giving you another idea or another angle on the counter fairies to kind of work with and go with. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, share, enter the giveaway, have fun, best of luck as always. So, you know, until next time, guys, like I've just said, best of luck with the giveaways. We hope you all enjoyed these videos. Until next time, guys, happy dueling. Also, YouTube, thanks for watching that video. I hope you liked it. If you did, hit that like button. And of course, don't forget to hit that big red subscribe button in the bottom left-hand corner and the notification bell so you don't miss out on anything. We've got more deck profiles, duels, pack openings, and many more Yu-Gi-Oh! Videos coming up for you all year round. So don't forget to stay tuned for all of that. Thanks, and as always, guys, happy dueling.